Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sacred Symbols Plus, your weekly podcast supplement of Sacred Symbols. I'm your host today, Dustin, the executive producer of Last Stand Media. I've got two just absolutely fabulous hosts with me today, looking suave. Maddie, that jacket, though, what's going on there?
Thank you. This is a trainer. Colin said no Rangers paraphernalia, so I decided I will wear Mets, see if he allows that, because this is the other New York team that's vastly superior. So we'll see how it goes for him. But I'm following some rules here.
Nice. And of course we have the lovely Chris Raygun, who also, is that a Dragon Ball Z hat?
It is. This is this was actually made by a guy by the name of Djibouti Dubs, who he's a YouTuber. He does a lot of obviously dubs and shit. But I went over to an animator friend of mine's house, and he just had he was just there with a bunch of these hats that he made. He's like, hey, they're Dragon Ball hats, but they don't look like Dragon Ball, do they? I'm like, God, no, they don't. I love it. I love anything that's subtle enough that your average if they don't know what Dragon Ball is, they're just gonna think it's kind of like a nice hat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you do know what Dragon Ball is, then you're like, all right, sick, I'm in the know. I always like that stuff. Yeah.
I have a Bloodborne shirt that has the Carol runes on the sleeves, and so people just think I'm satanic when I wear it.
That's not too bad.
They don't have to. We don't have to worry about people thinking I'm a gamer.
Yeah, you don't want to openly admit that you're a gamer in public.
Right, exactly. So again, this shirt I have is from our friend Hogue Law. I went and bought this one. But what's interesting is I was saving it to wear on a show, so I could just rep his brand. But it was sitting on my kitchen table, and Holly's mom made us these peanut butter cookies for Valentine's Day.
Oh.
And somehow that plate ended up on the shirt. And so now this shirt smells like peanut butter cookies slightly.
Sounds like a
That's
problem.
awesome.
I'm not even mad about it, no.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, it's not like pizza. Have you ever noticed? I love pizza, by the way. Let me preface all this by saying that the worst part about pizza is what your fingers smell like afterwards. You can smell the oil from the... Do you guys know what I'm talking about, or am I a psychopath? I have to wash my hands with dishwashing soap after I have pizza. Otherwise, I'll smell pizza grease in my fingers all day. If I go to, I just wipe my face a little bit, itch the side of my head a little bit. There it is, pizza. It's disgusting.
That might be one of the most insane things I think I've ever heard. I've never experienced this in my life.
Are you serious?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm dead serious, and I'm a pizza connoisseur.
Dustin, save me.
I love pizza like nobody's business.
So no, this is a phenomenon, because I have this, but to an even more extreme extent. My friend Brandon, he especially cannot deal with any kind of food smells on his hand. So and he's also a little bit of a germaphobe. So we'll go to a restaurant or get food. He'll go to the bathroom before he eats and wash his hands. He'll eat and then go to the bathroom again, because he can't stand the thought of when his hand eventually is going to touch his face that he smells like Chipotle or a burger or whatever. And so I think this also applies to pizza.
I just can't fathom why you would be disgusted at a smell of something that you've just wholly ingested.
There's something different because the pizza...
See, my thought is more it's later though.
Yeah, that's
it's part you don't want that lingering there.
Yeah, it's just 4 hours later when I smell, I go to scratch my face, I'm I've washed my hands at least twice by this point, and I still smell pizza grease. And what's weird is it's different. If I have a burger, you don't smell the bun from the burger or the burger juice. It's not in my fingers. There's something about pizza that just gets into the grooves of my fingertips. Something happens, and it's every time.
I don't know. I have no idea. I feel like I'm crazy now because I'm outnumbered. But I've never thought about this. Maybe maybe I have calluses on my fingers from guitar. Maybe I can't fathom this.
I use dial soap usually, but now I use when I have pizza, I have dishwashing soap. I'm just all right, this cuts through the grease.
That's so funny.
Yeah. It works well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there must be. I look forward to hearing the comments on this, because
I'm
really. This is something I've genuinely never heard in my life, so I'm really curious about this.
You've been, it's become a meme amongst the community that you've often baffled but this feels like a truly baffling moment for you. Like, this is next level.
This is none of my friends, none of my family, all of whom are like New Yorkers. So they're like, it's not like pizza's like super foreign to them. So
see,
like,
I put it out there thinking Chris was gonna have my back. He was gonna be like, yeah, I get you, dude, like 100%. He's like, that's insane. That's fucking insane.
This is whatever the opposite of a religious experience is, is what I'm experiencing right now.
Well, this is your Hitman 3 spoiler cast for Sacred Symbols Plus. Right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We're really excited to talk about this game. If you're listening, first of all, you're most likely a patron, because as we do with these spoiler casts, they are first released to our patrons over at patreon.com/laststandmedia. You can sign up and get access to this episode as you have for, just $1 a month. But with the spoiler cast, we do eventually make them free. So if you're listening there, you should sign up for the Patreon and get access to all the different extra content we do. It is a hell of a deal. Of course, we have Sacred Symbols Plus, and now Defining Duke Ultimate, which a little tease, we've got the Ranking the Halo series coming up this week, right, Maddie?
Indeed. Yes. It's going to be good.
Very exciting stuff. But I think that, we've used all of our intro time on pizza finger grease. I think we, at this point, just need to dive right into Hitman 3. So my plan for this whole podcast, whatever this conversation is, that we're going to lead from what you guys wrote in on our Patreon. And I thought this was just an appropriate question to start with from Kyle Borchett, who said, is Hitman 3 really that good? Or do we just have nothing else to play? And I kind of took some offense to this question, but I want to know what you guys think.
I'm a little upset, yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's absurd. No, Hitman 3 is genuinely like really cleverly designed in a lot of ways that like I think are, in my opinion, kind of industry leading. Like the level design in the second level alone is better than the level design I've seen in most full-fledged games in their entirety. And I'm not saying that this is like that the story is like astounding, or like that the acting is phenomenal, or that the animation is like flawless, but like what's going on here from like a purely gameplay perspective is really something that I think is, even if it came out in fall, I think people would be talking about it. I think it's I think it's good. I don't think it's just because I think the fact that there's nothing to play helps it stand out a little bit more, and maybe more people are a little bit more curious about it than they otherwise would be. I'm sure a lot of people, because there's nothing to play, probably saw this and were like, hey, I'll give this a shot, who might not have otherwise. But, I don't think that has anything to do with how good it is. Like, it's just good.
Yeah. I agree. I don't like this.
Maddie, what do you think about this?
I don't like the idea that like if a part of the year is dead, that a game is inherently better. Just because, if anything, this is the perfect game for that type of drought. It's highly replayable. You want something like that, and so that's part of the reason it stands out. It also means that the team who does the marketing and identifies a window where they want to release it did a good job. They put it in a place where people are going to talk about it more and put it on their map. So, there's that, but yeah, Hitman 3, Kyle, is really that good. And hopefully as you listen to this show, you'll get a good feel for why that's the case, because I agree with Chris. I do think it's industry leading. I think the level design is insane. The fact that, I have 40 hours in the game right now. I haven't played it for a little bit because I had to review Persona 5 Strikers, but I put 40 hours in on just the 5 maps alone. The 6th map doesn't count. It doesn't count in my eyes, but that, to me, that's crazy. That's crazy that they put that much content there, that I just kept rerunning all these missions, doing all the assassinations, and I racked up 40 hours. Like, it is that good. That's not normal. I've never seen a game like that outside of the Hitman series. So, yeah, it's phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah, it's funny because I knew that this would come up, but I didn't expect it to come up this early. Just talking about really the core of this game, I feel like, is the level design in so many ways. And like this morning when I was going through and like just perusing through the main set of levels, and I was specifically on the Vineyard, which is Mendoza, I was like, holy shit, the amount of layers in this mission is insane. Like, you have the house at the top, you have the winery, there's the public area, and then there's the manufacturing area, and then there's the whole like underground secret lair. And
it all makes sense too.
I'm positive. Yeah, I am positive I have not even seen every area in this mission. Like, and even the missions, like, I think about, we're not going to be talking about the Hitman 1 or 2 very much, but the Paris level is the level I have played the most, of course. It's the very first level, and it's so well done. I have seen stuff on YouTube that I still have not seen in that level. And I've spent like probably 30 to 40 hours in that level alone.
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah, to answer Kyle's question, yes, Hitman 3 really is that good. And I have to agree with the boys here that it's not even a matter of there's nothing else to play. Because I don't know, I feel like there is still quite a bit to play right now. Even though there's not like a new release every week that's, an absolute banger. There's still, like, everyone's still catching up on stuff all the time.
Yeah, that's
so. Okay. Joey Hornrich wrote in and said, "Hey fellas, I absolutely loved this trilogy of games, but I find it so funny that even this episode is even called a Spoilercast, because I feel each and every new Hitman game a part of this trilogy has the worst story campaign than any of the previous installments before them. Hitman Absolution gets some hate, but I enjoyed that story more than these three from that standpoint. Do you guys feel that not having a compelling story to tell within these amazing missions and gameplay components hinder the game series as a whole? Love y'all and keep being spicy." Chris, I'm already seeing some dissent over there, so let's throw this over to you right off the bat.
Oh, I just hate Hitman Absolution like a lot. Like I really can't. I can't stand that game at all. But I don't know. Like these games never really, like, Hitman in general was never really like a story thing for me. It was just like kind of like it was always more gameplay focused to me, and I always kind of put story as like this kind of. I think I used to like skip all the like everything. Like I barely knew who 47 was. I didn't care. All I knew was that I want to do these elaborate assassinations, and these new games just like fulfill that like way more than any of the previous games did, I think. And that to me, I guess it's a shame that you don't have like this, groundbreaking narrative experience here. I guess that's like, I guess the game would be better if it did have that, but I don't know if I could blame a game for not being what for not being what it isn't. It just kind of feels like this is what the game is, and it's great as it is. So I don't know. I don't know if I agree with I also don't know if I agree with the idea that like each of these stories get worse. Like right. I think they're all more or less the same. I think this one's like a little bit. I actually think this one's a little bit more coherent than the previous ones. Like I remember in the last two, I kind of barely had an idea what was going on, but in this one, I understood everything. Everything like flowed a little bit more, at least to me. And there's a specific ending here that I think is really cool. But I don't know. I liked Hitman 3 a lot more than the last two, on all fronts, gameplay and story. So,
yeah. So Maddie, what do you think? I mean, the story to me has also been pretty. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on, and part of me like doesn't even feel compelled to get invested. So I'm just curious have you been following the story of Hitman? Oh, the other thing I want to say is I have no context of the older games. I've never played any of the older ones, so it's like complete nonsense to me in general. So I don't know what your history is, Maddie, and what your thoughts are.
So I've not played any prior to this. I mean, I played Absolution, funny enough, and I actually, because I think that was my only exposure, I enjoyed that. So it's just funny how that kind of ends up working out. But what I like about the story with Hitman 3, I go back and forth on it. I don't think it's a good story. We were actually talking about this before we started this. It's not a good story, but there's one element to it that I really do like, and it's that as you do these assassinations and you progress through the levels and you start to see more environmental details and you hear more conversations, a self-contained story starts to build per location on what everyone's doing and their relationships with each other. You know, I think of the Mendoza level, especially with one of your targets and his wife. And I think to myself, like, man, you know, you don't even know this is going on up front until you coordinate a special assassination that puts his wife and him against each other. And you find out this pretty dark secret about the character that you're taking out. And so that's achieved through replayability. And so I appreciate that. But yeah, in a kind of beat for beat narrative, it's not great. But I agree with Chris again that I really liked how they gave you a sound reasoning for everything happening. I think of the mission on Berlin where you're being chased around by a bunch of ICA agents and they're all blending in at the same time. And it's because everything around you is dissolving. And that wouldn't have done well if there wasn't a real story reason there. They could have been like, hey, this is a cool idea. But they actually had something there sensible to hold it up. And I dug the hell out of that. I really did. So, yeah, it's not a great story. But I don't think it holds it back because, you know, there's a thing a lot of people don't think about is it's sometimes okay, in my opinion at least, and I think maybe you guys won't even agree with this, I think it's okay to just be very good at one thing. Like, Hitman doesn't need to be like what Cyberpunk tried to be and what every game tries to be is this big, open, tons of quests, tons of content, best at gameplay, best at storytelling. It's like, that's great. We love our jack of all trades, but I like that Hitman 3 is a mastery in gameplay. It's a masterclass. You know, there's really hardly any that can compete with it in my eyes currently when it comes to stealth replayability. So I like that they said, you know what, we'll have a narrative here that gets you where you need to go, and let's really go all out with these assassinations and build on that. And so they did like a roadmap for February, and they put out some new content, and that's awesome, man. So I just like that they understand what works. That's more important to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also like that you kind of shined a bit of a spotlight on the kind of per level narratives, because I think those are the strongest stories in the game. I think are
definitely
just the stories like per location, which I always kind of viewed as like the main point of the story anyway. Like, you have this kind of like threading narrative that kind of like loosely connects you to all these locations, and then those locations are where you get to, you know, have these like really kind of immersive character moments that are pretty cool.
Like the Dartmoor Mansion's like a shining fucking example of like in game stories where you're just like, holy shit, this is fucked up. Like, that's just so good. This second level of this game is so good. Like, it's so unreasonably good.
I know that I can't, like, that level by itself. Like,
I would have paid 64. I'm not gonna lie.
It's so good. Like, I've played that one level so many times, and I'm so bad at Hitman too. This is the thing that, like, I've said this numerous times. Like, I'm not good at Hitman. I get caught frequently. I try my best. I do what I can, but I'm not good at it. But I still keep going back to Dartmoor Manor, like, because it's so. I love the location. I love the options that you have there, and how funny some of the options are.
Oh my
the photograph.
God. I was about to say
one in particular.
Sniping her into her grave from the top of a mansion. Like, okay, sure, why not?
Yeah, it's just, oh man, so good, so good.
Yeah, man.
So one thing that Maddie, you were kind of saying how the story, you know, there's the story that connects the dots, right, and gives context, but then there's the stories within the level. I don't want to, like, you know, conspiracy theory this, like, you know, like, oh, look at the levels of storytelling. But I argue that there's even a third layer in that the story of the game is the gameplay moments that happen, the emergent gameplay or whatever you want to call it. Like,
that's a good point.
When I was playing the Dubai level for the first time and just playing like a fucking idiot, so I knew that the target was going to go through this hallway, so I need to take out the guard. I threw a coconut at his face, dragged him into a closet, and then, like, you know, like, sniped the guy with a pistol, and then, like, so, and then I you know, someone saw me, and so I had to throw another coconut at that guy's face.
That
and it's
chain
like
panic of, like, taking out 4 people at once. You're like, all right, another one in the closet.
Right. And that's when I meet up and hang out with Ben and Brandon, who also are big fans of this game. That's what we're talking about, is the stories and the narrative that we created through the emergent gameplay. And that's what I think is, like, god tier good. I mean, that's why, and say what you will about games like Breath of the Wild or whatever, but it's these games that do have this emergent gameplay where it's like, sure, the actual narrative may be in the background, but that's like totally fine because that's really when it comes down to it, not what it's about.
Yeah, no, I think that's I think that's a strong point in video games in general. Like I have that same conversation about like anytime my friends talk about shit that we did in Destiny. Like anytime it's like, oh yeah, we just chained this like ridiculous thing together. It's like I had the bubble open and like we just got this boss down to like 0 in like a second. It was crazy. It was like, and like just all this all the stuff that happens as a result of all the systems interacting with each other, where instead of, oh hey, did you hear what this character is doing in the lore? Which is cool, but it's like, it's not as interesting as the stuff that you do. And I think there's value in that.
Yeah, 100%. For sure. It's especially interesting with Destiny and the multiplayer aspect and the stories. Like,
yeah.
Like sorry, I don't want to go on a tangent. I will never forget the first time I played Vault of Glass, ever. Yeah. Like, I would give hundreds of dollars to be able to have that experience wiped from my mind and be able to do it in that context.
Yeah, so. I feel the same way about the Vault of Glass that I feel about Dartmoor, honestly. Like Dartmoor is just one of those like immaculate gameplay experiences that I really have a really I seriously doubt that I'm going to experience something quite like the Dartmoor Manor in a while. Like I feel like it's going to be a long time before I see any level design like that, even from IO.
I think it's because...
Well, let's go ahead.
It's to me, I just think it's because, not to string this topic along too much, just Dartmoor is the only mission with one target. And so you just have like 80 different ways to take out one target, and it can kind of be as quick as you want it to be. I feel like that's part of the reason why it works so well, because everyone else is like a big double assassination mission. This is the only one that says like, we got one target for you. It's in a mansion. There's a murder mystery here. Go crazy. And I feel like that's kind of is the only thing that's really missing from the game. But sorry, I'm taking us off topic now at this point.
No, let's actually go ahead and we can jump to talking more about Dartmoor, because we have 2 write-ins regarding Dartmoor.
Let's go.
One of them is from Bo, and Bo said, "Hey guys, I have one question. How many times have you replayed Dartmoor?" Which I think we've already expressed many times between the 3 of us. I think I've lost count. I'm not sure there's ever been an area, region, or level of a game that I've loved more. The murder mystery in an old Gothic mansion has always fascinated me since I saw the film version of Clue as a kid.
Yes.
Dartmoor scratches that itch to live out that fantasy and then some. Love what you are all doing and cannot wait to see what IOI does with Bond. So I think it's cool that he mentioned Clue here, because everyone instantly wants to jump to Knives Out, which of course is the most recent mansion murder mystery movie. But I thought that nice touch with referencing Clue. But yeah, I don't really know if there's anything to piggyback off this that we haven't already said. So I'm going to go ahead and read Luke Bernhard's question, or write in as well. Says, "What's up, Devil May Cry?" Which of course that is, because we are DMC when this lineup. I like that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Luke says, "There hasn't been a Hitman level in any game quite like Dartmoor, where you have not only the freedom but the inclination to go and explore everything before coming to your conclusion. In getting my mastery, I barely consulted a guide on challenges, as I was so sucked in during my first run through that I got just about all of them during it naturally. I'd love to hear how each of you approach a level, which in my opinion is one of the most intriguing levels in any game I have played. Thanks for all that you do. Keep fucking that chicken. P.S. You guys really have to get Colin to play this." Now, quick comment. People keep telling us, be like, oh, people come on my stream and say, get Colin to play Dark Souls. Get Colin to play Persona. Get Colin. It's never going to happen. Okay. You cannot tell Colin what to play. And he will only play what he wants.
Priority number 1 on that list is Danganronpa V3.
You got a hot take here?
So he can't play Hitman 3. He's got to play Danganronpa first. So, that's the issue here.
That's right.
Man, so yeah, right. I gotta say.
So let's go over.
Sorry, I think there's a lag on our end. So sometimes if I cut you guys off, just know I don't know what's happening with that, but there's like a slight delay.
I think your Wi-Fi is being poopy.
I'm not wired. That's the weird part.
That's what it says here on our. You're wired. Whoa. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll work through it.
All right, yeah. So apologies to the audience if it sounds like I cut Chris or Dustin off at all. But yeah, I found myself not consulting guides either. You know, when I was doing any of the levels in Hitman 3, it's interesting because, you know, eventually once I went on that, all right, I'm going to do all the assassinations, I had to look up a couple, mostly for the level in China, just because that one was like really hard to figure out sometimes. But with Dartmoor especially and Mendoza, those were the two I just went full on like immersion, you know, looking around at every detail. Because what's interesting is some of these mission stories will like branch out. So you'll have to start the same mission story, but there's like a second way you can do it. Like one of them, you can, this is not Dartmoor, but you can put like people in a freezer instead of like pushing them into I think the pulverizer is another assassination. So it's two within the same path. And I love that. So yeah, Dartmoor has just so much of that. And I just kept going through without any guides. That's the other thing, man. It's a testament to their level design. And I think a lot of their environmental cues is that you don't feel like you need a guide because you're always just on the cusp of getting it. You're thinking like, what is this one thing I'm missing? This one disguise or this one tool, something along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, they do a really good job of making you feel like you're really close to figuring it out, like all the time. Even if you're just like way off, like they do a good job of just like making you feel like encouraged. I will say though, that, yeah, the China level was the one that I was like I got stuck, and I was like I don't even remember specifically what got me, but like something got me on that level, and I was like I got to consult a guide. But everything else, I was like. I was just full on, and I was like just into it. Like when I found that secret room in the manor, like that leads to that room where the dude's on the laptop, like doing some like shady shit. I was like, holy shit, dude! Yeah. This is like, it was such a satisfying moment because I got there like completely diegetically, like totally on my own, no guide, no cheating, no nothing, and it just felt it's such a satisfying level, man. It's such a satisfying game in general to figure stuff out and like just like eavesdrop and just get all this intel and information and just like chain it together into something that just like lets you do this insane shit. It's so good.
What for me, the relationship with guides is weird because my first playthrough with Dartmoor when I did the murder mystery, no guides, of course. Like that was like essential that I wanted to do that blind. But eventually, like I was trying so hard to figure out how to do the challenge where you basically take out the target and she lands in her own grave. I was like, I must figure out how to do this. And so what I'll do is I'll like look at a guide to get just like the first step because I could not figure out. I was like, how do I get her to leave? Now, I was impatient because I should have just walked over to the grave and then I would have learned how to do that anyway. But I think the thing that's so cool about specifically that challenge is you can really layer things up, especially as you learn what to do. You can like take it one step further. Like, so specifically talking about when you shoot her into the grave, the first time I did it, I like hid in a bush and shot her with a silenced pistol and knocked her into the grave, which in order to do that, you first have to like shoot these birds out of a tree and stuff like that. And I was like, well, if I could do this with a pistol, why can't I do this with a sniper rifle? And then I was like, wait, there's one to snipe her from the roof of the mansion. And so it was like this amazing moments of connecting the dots. And then like, you know, and like, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it in the 47 suit. No changes. And so it was like this challenge that I set for myself where it's like, you get the briefcase, you get the sniper rifle, figure out how to get into the mansion and onto the roof. Once you're on the roof, you shoot the birds, you wait, and then she goes out and wait for that moment where you knock her into the grave and then just blitz. And you leave, silent assassin. I don't know if that would be silent assassin since she gets shot. But either way, you're totally hidden. And like the moment where you beat that is like, wow, all of the hours I put into this mission has culminated into this moment. And it's like bliss, orgasmic, maybe even, dare I say.
It's really satisfying slipping out of a place like Dartmoor and doing all the shit that you do in that level and just slip out completely unseen. It actually like really does deliver in some ways on even just the entire fantasy that this entire franchise is based on, where it's like I really feel like just like a straight up like real ass assassin like after that, because it's so, oh god, I could gush about Dartmoor forever, and we probably could, but
I just feel like with that mission, it's two things. One is, because Dustin, you kind of touched on it, is how this challenge is really tied together. I didn't even think of that, but yeah, like when I took her out from the grave, I didn't even think you could shoot her from the bush. So first thing I did was like, oh, they want me to get up on top of this roof. So I concealed a sniper in a briefcase. I was disguised as a bodyguard, and I just like tossed this thing up through a window, and then like I shimmy my way through the tower and like climb out, and I just sniped her from into her grave. So I think part of it really is that all those challenges are coming together and making you feel like, you know, you figured something out. The other is kind of attached to that, where I remember the first time I played, when I was reviewing the game, I was playing Dubai. It took me 2 hours to do that mission, which is embarrassing. But now I do missions and I'll do them in 20 minutes and go, fuck, like that wasn't good enough. So the game does a really good job as they give you more tools and starting areas, and you learn their patterns more, of that legitimate feeling of mastery. So I just think like those all tie together, and it's a feel good game too. Like, yeah, what you said, the silent assassin, but also just sometimes it's not even that for me. I'm really not that great at getting silent assassin. It's like, damn, I went in there, I took them out, and I'm gone in 5 minutes. Like efficiency. That felt great too.
Maddie, did you see IGN put up they have that series, developers react to speedruns, and you can do the Dubai mission in less than a minute.
Really?
Like literally, as you get out of the elevator, if you don't do the story intro, like one of them is on the left and one of them is directly above you, and they'll just like boom, boom, and then just walk out. It's insane. But yeah, dude, wild. Watch that video, because they go through all the different missions, and there's, you know, it's crazy. But one thing that I did think of, we were talking about the challenges, and I've seen this sentiment said online, not by everyone, but a few people that are like, the mission stories are like easy mode. You should avoid those and figure out your own path. And I really disagree with that, because to me, the mission stories are like IO giving you a guide to the level to learn it, right? Like,
yep.
To me, the ideal way to play Hitman is that you start the mission, do some of the mission stories. That's going to take you around the level and show you the mechanics of the level. It's going to start teaching you the pathways of your targets, stuff like that. And then once you learn the level, which is so much fun, like learning the level is half the fun, but then getting really creative with your kills after that, Maddie, like you were saying, how you threw the briefcase into the house and stuff like that. I feel like that's when the game becomes the most rewarding. So anyone who says that, I don't know, I just want to make that clear. The mission stories are good. So
yeah, I
think,
no,
they are.
Yeah, I don't think you gotta like lean heavily on them, but I do think, once again, took 2 hours to finish Dubai. Like, there's a stubbornness there that I was like, I'm not going to do a mission story. I'm going to figure this out. You can't sometimes. Like, it's not that it's impossible, but it's just really difficult to sometimes. And so, yeah, man, I agree that the mission stories it was a smart design choice. They need those.
So I'm going to go back to one of our earlier questions here. Well, earlier in our document. And, you know, on this show, we love our audience, but every once in a while we like to tear them up a little bit. And that's what I'm going to do right now to Adam Barnes. Adam Barnes says, "What's up, fellas? IOI finally learned their lesson and gave Hitman a platinum trophy. Will any of you boys be going for it? I know Chris won't be, because he claims to love Doom 2016 so much, but doesn't even have the plat for that. All the best, you sexy bitches. Peace out." Now, I will give Adam Barnes the benefit of the doubt that he's joking around here. But unfortunately, some people do share this this thought for real that it's like, oh, if you really like a game, you'll platinum it. And I hate that. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Like, I'll platinum a game if I really, really like it, and I think the platinum is will be fun to get. And sometimes I'm really wrong with that. Spider-Man was a lot of fun to get. Crash Team Racing was very painful. But you know, but I'm very proud of the Crash Team Racing platinum. Absolutely, especially because I got it in like 4 days or something like that. But you know, Doom 2016, I don't even think I know what the trophy list is for that. And also, like, I owned it on Xbox One first because 2016 was, like, way before I even started doing the PlayStation show. So, like, and I owned it on PC as well. I own it on PlayStation now as well. And it's like, at a certain point, you're like, all right, I don't even know which one to focus on at this point. You know? So it's like, whatever. I've put so many hours into Doom 2016 and not as much into Doom Eternal just because I've had to play more now. Like 2016, it wasn't my job to play everything. Now it is.
That's fair.
But we know for a fact, Chris, that you love Doom more than probably most of the platinum owners, and you only need to listen to you on this show to know that.
I just mentioned it 480 times.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, dude,
but
that's like someone saying,
out there.
I'm not a KOTOR fan because I don't have a platinum for it. Like, imagine that. That's what that sounds like to me. It's like, are you serious? That's ridiculous.
I actually, Maddie.
Sorry, go on.
I actually just started playing KOTOR, like, for the first time ever. I've never played KOTOR in my life. Like, I have no nostalgia. I have no nostalgia for it. I have no nostalgia connection to it, and you know what? I actually like it.
Wow. Okay, I was gonna say good luck because I've heard that I've heard that if you have no nostalgia, it's not as great. But if you're liking it now, that's really cool. I'm excited to hear more of your thoughts.
I mean, I'm sure it's probably not as great, but also it's just like I think I can look at a game that's that old and be like, all right, well, this is just an old game. I can deal with how old it is. I did run into a game-breaking bug though, that kind of halted my progress. So I'm gonna put it down and come back to it at a later date. But,
what was it, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. Oh my God! It was the You have to get like a Sith trooper costume from a party and then sneak through an elevator to go down, and it's like in the very beginning. But I got the Sith trooper disguise from the party. I snuck downstairs. I died, and I respawned without the costume, and the party had already taken place. So
there's another place you can go for.
I don't really know
if you want help.
Yeah, there's. I know you can get papers or whatever, but I really wanted to sneak in. So it makes me sad.
Understandable. I can always help if you need it.
Damn. Okay. Maddie is the KOTOR, support partner that everyone needs in their life. Okay, so let's go ahead. I mean, I have a thing in our doc here talking about the locations. We've already naturally talked about each of them. I don't know. I mean, we could go directly into questions, and I think that will naturally lead to talking about them. Though, actually, no, this will be good. Let's talk about the last mission, which is the Carpathian Mountains. Mm-hmm. And Thomas Conley wrote in about this. Thomas says, "Hey guys, how did you feel about the final mission in Hitman 3? I thought it was an interesting approach to an end of a linear level that focused on killing as many as possible, juxtaposed with the rest of the game where you're killing a couple of targets in open spaces. Having played all 3 games, I still have no grasp on the story or why the constant mattered, but I love going through an army of security guards to finish him nonetheless. Thanks for another Spoilercast and have a great week." Maddie, I'm going to throw this to you first because I think before we recorded Ham a week or two ago, I was like, yeah, I'm almost done with the final mission. And you were like, not good. Like instantly you were like, not good. So you have strong thoughts about this. What do you think?
Yeah, so for me, I feel like it kind of goes against, in my eyes, what the whole series even stands for. I think the game is completely against anything linear. It's highly replayable. There's only 2 ways to take him out. Like, maybe it would have been better if you were able to say, okay, well, you got the Carpathian Mountains. This is our final mission. It is just on one train, but you can take him out in like 7 different ways. The fact that there are only 2 assassinations kind of bugs me. I feel like it's a mission style that would have served better for the beginning of a game. Like, hey, we're not going to just hit you in Dubai, wide open. You're out on your own. Good luck. and instead here's this narrow little train cart, and you just got to maneuver things a little bit here. I also felt like some repetition set in with the way I was navigating. It's like, okay, I go through this window, shimmy along here, up on top of the cart, avoid this thing coming in, drop down, repeat. And so I just found it to kind of go against the whole design of the game itself. And maybe it's because they wanted to, because it's the end of the trilogy, they wanted to have a big story punch. I think they could have still had that. I don't know. They had their reasons for it, and I try not to let it take away from the game and talk about it too much, because at the end of the day, I don't want to lose sight that, I'll repeat, five maps, 40 hours. That's insane. So the game, the map is clearly not so bad that I couldn't put that many hours into the game. But I just feel like I didn't like how they did. I think just another open level with a single target, maybe an open base instead of a train, would have been really cool. But I think it's kind of what happened when we were talking about narrative threads kind of connecting from mission to mission. The way they wanted to go with the story, that this was the only way they felt they could do it, based off, you being, I put this in quotes, betrayed by Diana, and then, being put on this train to get closer to the Constant. It's like, okay, that makes sense. It's the only way you could get close to him. So I get why they did it, but I also don't like the design of the mission personally.
Yeah, I'm a little mixed on it, because I'm with you in the linearity sense. I do think it's too linear. I do think it doesn't give you enough options on how to approach the situation. It reminded me a lot of Absolution in that way. Like it's exactly what I didn't like about Absolution, was that it was just like, it's Hitman Absolution is like the Splinter Cell Conviction of Hitman, except Splinter Cell Conviction is actually like genuinely kind of fun. But I do think it's I don't know if it bothered me as much as I anticipated, because the second I saw that it was on a train, I was like, oh my god, this is okay. So this is like a completely different thing. It's almost like jarring to go from all these open levels to this like narrow train. But I also kind of viewed it as like this kind of like, not necessarily a palate cleanser, but kind of like a break. I just didn't know it was going to be the last. It's not a good last level. The thing that saves it for me, though, and I don't know if you guys know this, because I don't know if have you guys. I know some of you said you haven't played the previous game. Have you played the first one, Hitman Codename 47?
Nope.
So there is, and this is a spoiler cast, right? We're spoiling
Go
shit,
for
right?
it. Oh yeah.
So there's a secret ending where you're kind of forced to you either lose all your memories, you inject yourself and you lose all your memories, and you start everything over, or you choose to fuck up the Constant and you just do your own shit. But if you wait long enough, if you just wait and just don't do anything, you inject yourself anyway, and then you wake up, and it's the exact scene from the beginning of the first Hitman. And it fucked me up, because I was like, is this an homage? Is this like, has this whole thing been like before Hitman? Like, is this a prequel trilogy? It awesome. Ruined me. I was like, it's the dawn of a new day, and you have things to do. Wake up. And I'm like, holy shit. Even the animation is the same. He's in a padded room. The animation is exactly the same. He wakes up, and I was like, holy shit. All right. So this level isn't great. This level isn't great from a gameplay perspective, and I totally get that. It's jarring. It's a weird. It is, from a design perspective, a lot more fitting at the beginning of the game. I think it's more of a tutorial mission, which is so weird that it ends this way. But narratively, it has like the strongest punch that I've gotten from any of these Hitman games, purely because of the way that it feeds into it. And again, I have no idea if this is just kind of like a cheeky like Easter egg to just kind of like end the series on like a bit of a wink wink nudge nudge, or if this is like genuinely supposed to imply that it's almost like a Halo thing where like at the beginning of Halo Combat Evolved, he wakes up and he's in a he's in like a fucking cryogenically frozen tube, and he just comes out and he's like, I'm ready to do shit. And then at the end of Halo 3, he goes back into it and he's back where he started. And it reminded me of that, where it's like, is this just Agent 47's just cycle of existence, where he just goes through this ridiculous journey only to like force himself to forget everything and wake up exactly where he started?
That's actually such a punch, not to cut you off. That's such a punch that it actually could like flip my whole understanding of the story and what I think about that level. That's fucking crazy.
It's really cool. And again, like this, it could just be like IO just having fun, like with it, because it is like really like on point how similar the scene plays out. It's almost like a little jarring because the animation is kind of the same as like the original, so it's like a lot jankier and a lot less natural, and it's hard for me to tell if it's an Easter egg or if it's like genuinely like a sincere implication, because again, even as far as I've played all these Hitman games, I even my understanding of the story is still pretty surface level. I'm not like reading, I don't know, some graphic novel about Agent 47 and like I don't know the lore necessarily, but that ending, man, was just really, really cool to see. And I'm sure that's probably lost on a lot of people who haven't played the original, because obviously, like, why would it mean anything to them? But so really crazy. Cool. Wow. Right. Really cool shit.
That's so... Yeah, Maddie and I had, like, no clue, like, what you're talking... Not, like, you understood it, right? But I'm like, what the fuck? I had no clue about any of this just because... I'm trying to not look up anything and just discover stuff, which I'm glad you told me. I think it's good for the spoiler cast, because honestly... I don't think I would have gone back and done that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think to look it up either. But like, I heard, it's the dawn of a new day and you have things to do. Sounded so fucking familiar to me. And I haven't played the original Hitman since, Jesus Christ, since probably before I could. It was probably since before I even knew what a developer was. You know, so. The fact that like stood out to me, I was like, what is that? That sounds so familiar, but I know it's not from anything else but this game. But I'm only playing this game just now, so what the fuck? How am I remembering this? And so I looked it up, and like, yeah, sure enough, it's the intro to the first Hitman. And I'm just like, holy shit, this is wild.
Damn. Well, that kind of definitely changes my perspective slightly on the ending. So I'm going to have to, I feel like I need to investigate more.
By the way,
now.
I brought that up specifically because I've done Spoilercast before, and I know people complain when you don't spoil things.
Right.
So you're welcome. I've spoiled something.
There you go.
I feel like we've been pretty warned. Detailed on the levels and how you kill people, and that's probably the most significant thing we could spoil, right? Like in the scheme of things.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, but like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I remember we did like a Spider-Man spoiler cast, and we didn't focus enough on story really. So like I always have that in my head. It's like, all right, I'm doing spoiler cast. I've got to spoil something massive about the story, and I think it's a pretty massive thing. Yeah. It's really cool too. Like, I suggest everybody, like, it's just I really appreciate that that wink and nudge.
For sure. Yeah. So I wanna let's take this a little bit in a different direction now, because I found this question to be incredibly interesting and fun. And a lot of people wrote in a very similar way. So this question specifically comes from Josh Van Winkle, but Jeremy Miller and Jesse Reimer, and also, now that I realize, Sam Dale, also all basically wrote the same kind of questions, but we're going to go with Josh's here. It says, Dear CDM, which, as we already said earlier, it's DMC, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's DMC.
We've seen a racetrack, fashion show, suburbs, and multiple other locations to assassinate in. If given the chance, what is your dream destination and kill you would love to see? Last Stand Media makes the week great. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you, first of all. But this really, when I read this question the other day, this really got my mind thinking, and I have two locations that I think would be amazing Hitman levels, but I want to throw this to you guys first. Just for the lag, Maddie, I'll have you go first. What destination would you think would work well in a DLC or something?
I don't know why this is coming to mind first, and feel free to tear this apart, but why am I thinking of an aquarium immediately?
Oh.
Just push him into a shark
because
tank.
there's sharks present. Yeah.
Like, I just think that'd be pretty cool. And I was thinking, I'm just thinking, because when I think of a good Hitman level, it's going to sound really sadistic, but it's pretty obvious that give me murder tools that make sense. So I would love to see like a medieval castle level, kind of like the Dartmoor Mansion, but almost like more thrown back, where you could use like a claymore or something. Because in the attic of Mendoza, you find cannonballs, powder for the cannon, and you find a giant sword. And I'm like, why aren't there any challenges for any of these? I imagine they'll add them later on, but that kind of got my mind spinning too, of what if they did a new map and kind of made this medieval mansion that for some reason some guy was in or some girl was in or whatever. So for me, I think aquarium tops the list. You kind of got a little bit of that with Miami. You could hit a dude with a fish and knock him into the water, and because no one can swim in Hitman, that's it for them. But yeah, those would be the two I would pick personally.
Now, Maddie, real quick. So wait, have you played Hitman, the levels of Hitman 1 and 2 also?
I'm getting into them now, only a little bit.
Okay.
I played Italy, or Sapienza, sorry. I played Paris, and I played Miami for an E3 demo.
It's not quite what you described, but in Hitman 2, there's a level called the Ark Society, which takes place in a castle that's like on an isle in the ocean.
Oh.
And I think you'll like it. So take a peek. It's not quite, it is medieval in some ways, but it has like some, what is it? What is the Alex Jones, like Shady Grove?
I don't know.
Like weird elites and like cultish behavior.
Interesting.
I can't remember. Anyway, people know what I'm talking about, hopefully. Or else I just sound like a total idiot. Chris, what Hitman levels would you like to see?
Dude, like a fucking like Comic-Con or something.
Yes.
Like I think the idea of like just being able to like cosplay, and just like just all of the, I feel like there's a lot of creativity to be had there, especially just with like how big those convention spaces are, and just the amount of props that would be at your disposal that wouldn't otherwise be, and just the overall nature, the meta nature of that as well, like, or like an E3 or like something like really like weirdly meta, where like I don't know, I don't know, whatever justification you can have to find someone assassin worthy at like one of these conventions, but like I think that'd be like a really fun aesthetic just to see, especially because like you could, I like environmental like detail, like and especially like in a level like Comic-Con, you could have so many like cheeky winks and nudges and like references to things that like you otherwise wouldn't see. Like you're not gonna see somebody in like Sailor Moon cosplay at like the Vineyard, but
right.
You could, and just like the premise of finding diegetic stories in that environment is really fun. But that's the one that I think would be cool.
Yeah. That was one of I had 3 ideas, and one of them was like a convention, whether it's Comic-Con, or I also thought E3, because they could be super cheeky since it's, a video game and it would be a convention about video games. But
yeah,
my 2 ideas, one of them would be an amusement park where your target is there on a vacation. And so there are any number of ways that you could rig the amusement park rides, whether it's like the problem though with the amusement park, I thought about this, was that it'd be very hard to design it in a way that innocents don't get killed as well. Maybe you could like put in something in the story like he paid in order to have private access to rides at certain times or something, so that way you could like rig like a corkscrew like it's Roller Coaster Tycoon, and then it just flies off or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of options there. And the other one, this one's even more crazy, and I don't know how it would work, but Hitman 3 or Hitman Agent 47 must infiltrate the 3-ring circus and take out the ringleader.
Agent 47
And
at fucking medieval times or some shit.
Yeah, sort of like that. Like, you could rig it that like an animal like doesn't get fed beforehand and then just fucking eats the ringleader. You could try to like snipe from a distance that like at the grand finale he gets sniped when there's like fireworks and stuff going off. So
that's really cool. That's a genuinely good idea.
Yeah. So
I like that idea.
If anyone from IO Interactive is listening to this, probably not. Maybe. I don't know. Colin always says developers listen to our shows, but I don't know that firsthand. Not that I don't believe him, but those ideas are free. I'll sign a contract or for any of our ideas, we'll let it happen. You don't need to sue us or we don't need to sue you. Just let us know. Also, I saw that some other gaming outlets have special deals where they're having their contracts in Hitman right now. Have you guys seen this?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, so specifically both MinMax and Kinda Funny have their custom contracts in Hitman for everyone right now. And I'm like, dude, IO, hit us up. You've got the dream team right here with DMC ready to make Last Stand Media contract missions. So I would love to do that. That would be
awesome.
Have you guys done that? Have you guys made your own contract missions?
No.
No, I haven't messed around with it enough. I've like done, I forgot the exact term, but there are contracts that are kind of like pre-made that'll toss you in with like specific loadouts and starting points and rule sets. I've done those, but I haven't tried to make my own because I'll admit, I think I'm a creative guy. I don't know if I'm level design, god tier, cool stealth gameplay type of creative. Definitely not. So it's kind of a gameplay mechanic.
Yeah.
I know serves a certain audience. That's not me, but it's definitely awesome. It's there.
I can make forge maps and that's about it. Like that's like I'm not gonna find like ways to path AI cleverly. Like I'm just not that smart. But it's to the point like that I'm so disassociated with that term contract missions that when you said it, I had no idea what you were even talking about because I remember them from like the first or second game, like, but I never did any of them. I was like, oh, that's a thing. That's cool for people who do that, I guess. And I just completely ignored it. But
well, fuck you guys then. IO can reach out to me. I will make. I've never done it. I'd have no clue if they'll be good.
I'll absolutely take their deal though. I'll make a contract if I was like, yo, we'll put you in the game. Like, fuck yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll put my ass in there.
Dude,
Let's go.
Man. So I think it's just like missions that are created with the assets already in the game. But if you could make like, because they put Sean Bean in the game and you could murder him. Like, I think that a lot of content creators would be down with like, if you could kill us in the game.
Oh yeah, totally.
I would be totally down with that.
Yeah.
I would have no issue with that at all. Yo, kill me, dude. send me the clips.
Right.
Like I would love that. I'm imagining all these like really like inelegant ways of doing it though, because like they just wouldn't even care. They just want to go in and just kill me. It's right, like your circus idea is just like I could just see Agent 47 just running up in public and just beating a mime to death in public, and you just hear Diana going like, good job 47.
That's right. So yeah, so those are our mission ideas, but let's see. Let's go ahead. I mean, I'm looking at these other questions here. I think we're probably about ready to wrap up. And I have the perfect question to wrap this whole thing up. And that comes from Joseph Barker, who said, hey, Dusty, Dustin, Maddie Matt, and Crispy Crisp, do you think IO will go back to their Hitman series once they've released their James Bond title? And do you think they'll make a series of James Bond games? And I believe other people have wrote in kind of with similar aspects. I know Adaholic wrote in something like this. And so I guess to sum it all up, what do you guys think is the future of Hitman? We know IO is working on a James Bond game. Obviously, that's very exciting. And you can see how this is one of those like, perfect IP for the perfect developer combination, right? We saw this with Insomniac and Spider-Man, and so it's cool to see something like this, but it has a lot of Hitman fans wondering Is this the end? What is the future? So I guess my question to you guys, I'll throw this to you first, Chris, is what do you want next for Hitman, or do you think it's donezo?
I don't think it's done. I think IO's probably done with it for a while, though, and I think we're probably going to have to prepare ourselves for like a very, very long time of no Hitman. Although that's not to say that this James Bond game can't be essentially like a spiritual successor to Hitman. I mean, James Bond is literally a hitman. So like, we use the term secret agent because it's a lot less evil, but I mean, let's be fucking real. So I feel like the series itself, especially with the way that they wrapped this one up and how it kind of, if you I mean, depending on like what the canon ending is, right? Because there's different endings. So like depending on what the real canon ending is, I could see them coming back to it. But if the canon ending is the one that I got, then I would imagine that they're probably done because they've kind of like established that there's this just kind of never-ending cycle. At least thematically. And like what else could they do unless they really overhauled it and really did something special in like several years, because I think honestly this is like the perfect place to leave it for a while. Like leave it on ice, let people miss it, let people play other things, and come back to it when it's fresh, and let them come back to it when they want to. That all depends on like how successful this James Bond game is though, and like how well that does, because that could be a series in its own right if it's good. So. I have no idea what the future of Hitman is.
Maddie, what do you think?
I would wager a guess that they're probably going to leave it on ice for a decent amount of time, because now, especially with that secret ending in mind, it kind of sets up a thing where you could say, yeah, that secret ending was what happened. Agent 47 is in a cycle. Here's a new set of Hitman missions. Go at it. I feel like that's kind of open-ended enough where that could happen, or they could just say it's conclusive, Constant's out of the picture. It's done. We finished our trilogy. But I think because here's the thing is that Hitman 3 made all of its money back. And so whatever they're selling now is just like raw profit, which is amazing for a game like Hitman. So I feel personally like it's not that the series is not successful, or something like Dishonored, another really excellent stealth sandbox kind of series, doesn't really do that great sales wise. It's not like they're struggling on that front, where if they went back to Hitman, they'd be making less money. It's just about, I think, how much James Bond will make them. And it also depends if their systems can handle it, because Hitman 3 doesn't need good shooting, but its third-person shooting, if you ever tried it out, is not great. And James Bond does have a little bit more of a blend of action, so that's going to have to get a buff, I think, at some point. And I'm curious what kind of game they're going to make. Like, if they just said, we're doing Hitman, but instead you're 007, I'd be like, fuck yes, give me that. Just because I grew up on these games, man. Just give me a bunch of gadgets and go crazy with that. But, I feel like what you're going to see is them try to run with James Bond, because it's much more recognizable. They're very good at what they do. I think it'll do very well, at least commercially. We don't know critically, of course, because we don't know much about the game. But I think just by name alone, it can pull some eyes and attract some people. And I think if it makes more than Hitman, that's an easy call for them to make. But also, like Chris touched on, there's a creative element there that's really important. And if they've done great work, they left it in a good spot where if you're coming in new, you don't just buy Hitman 3, you can buy all of them, and now you've got Hitman 3's AI and some of its systems back in Hitman 1 and 2. So it's this wonderful collection that I don't think it needs any more touching up. Add more content to it. I'm really, it's one of the few games I've ever been very hungry for post-launch content where I want more. Not because it's like the game left me unsatisfied. I love the game so much. I want some more to play. So they clearly have something good there, but as that World of Assassination idea they had is pretty cool. Especially when you're buying at launch, you could bring in the maps from other games if you already own them. That's awesome. So, I feel like they got a good model for Hitman that they can just leave almost as a portfolio and just build up with James Bond and kind of make their next step forward. Don't be the Hitman studio anymore. So I think creatively they're on the track to just make James Bond their next series and leave Hitman as is. They've worked on it since 2015. So half a decade, more than that, 6 years. Yeah, it's time
And
to
that's
move
just
on.
the new version.
Yeah, right. That's just the new
Yeah.
version. So
Yeah.
it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with both of you. And so I don't want to repeat what you guys said. So what I will say is that my hope for James Bond is that I think it's easy to connect the mechanics of Hitman to James Bond very easily, and that they could just basically reskin the game. I really hope that, though, like, for me, I really want them to get more silly and weird with James Bond. And I said this on Sacred Symbols, and I saw some comments where people were like, Dustin called James Bond an action comedy. I'm like, yes, it is. Like, and I looked this up to make sure, and it was actually Maddie when we were talking about this on your show on Ham Radio.
Yeah.
There's this scene in an old James Bond movie where they pick up a guy in a wheelchair with the landing gear of a helicopter, fly him around, and then shoot him into a giant chimney. Like, these movies overall, when we take the entire context of the series, are like stupid and ridiculous and hilarious, right? It's not until the newer James Bond movies with like Daniel Craig that we see things get really serious. And I really hope they take, and they already have some of that in their games. Like we talked about putting your target in the Great Masher and she gets ground up. Like, you know?
Yeah,
So
awesome.
they have some of that there, but like, I almost want it to be more explosive, right?
Yeah.
Like even crazier, lean into it. But
Yeah, I think it would be cool if they leaned into the older style of like I would hate to see like IO just go completely grimdark. I think grimdark is so boring and it's so tedious and it's so played out, especially lately, and it's just like, oh my god, how many of these am I gonna have to suffer through? So like I really hope that that they do have fun with it, because like, I mean, I've seen some of the older James Bond films like recently, kind of, because I actually didn't watch them before, and I've just been making a deliberate attempt to watch things that I haven't seen while I'm working or like while I'm just doing shit, just so I have more of a wealth of entertainment to reference from whenever I'm talking about something. But those movies are ridiculous. Those movies are like on mute. They're indistinguishable from Naked Gun. Like, just straight up, like I was watching it on mute, and I thought I was watching like Leslie Nielsen for a second, because it's just the absurdity of so much of what happens is just, I don't know. I think it's a great match for IO.
all right, guys, I said that was the last question, but this is such an easy, we can do this in like 30 seconds a piece or less, and I think it's the perfect way to end. Fat Houdini says, what has been your favorite kill? Maddie.
Wow. Oh, man.
Maybe this wasn't easy.
No. There's just, the thing is there's so many great ones that I probably would have a new one every day based off my mood. I'm gonna go ahead and say right now the one that's coming to me is I flooded the winery, and I don't know why I can't remember his name right now, but the guy will come down from his little secret base, and he'll start like crouching over to like inspect where the leak came from. And you just grab a fuse cell and you just flip the switch, and just this whole, it's so overzealous. It's so crazy. The whole place lights up with electricity for one guy in a puddle just by himself, and you just shock him to death. You just walk away, and no one knows. I just thought, it's not like the most creative in the terms of how you set it up or anything, but it's just the fact that everyone clears out. This is one guy just sad about his wine that's been wasted, and you just fucking shock him with a fucking generator from a mile out. I just dig the hell out of that. So that's the one that's coming to mind for me right now. I really like that one.
Yeah, it's got to be the photograph at Dartmoor. Like the the premise of just taking a picture of somebody and that killing them is awesome, and the fact that it just makes sense by the like in the context of the world, and it's so over the top, like what happens and like how it happens, and just the framing of it, and the dark comedy in it. That is, again, like just a vibe that I love in these games, and I want to see if nothing continues from Hitman into James Bond. I hope that dark sense of humor persists, because some of the funniest shit I've ever seen without even being explicitly funny.
Right. I already mentioned it, but I think I'm going to have to go with the Great Masher, even though I know there's so many great kills that I haven't even done yet. Just because there's such a buildup, you have to like go through all this nonsense where you like find these grapes in order to get the guy that's in charge of the vineyard to give the tour. And then like you pose for a picture under the Great Masher, and eventually you got to like find the right moment where, I can't remember her name, but the lady that gives you your mission, she's with you and you got to make sure you don't kill her, and she'll step out. And then like that moment, you just turn it on. And what's the best part is that no one even realizes that she got mushed up. They're like, where did she go? And they're like, oh, she had a call, I think, but she can find her way out. And then you just move on. No one knows. So
it's so good.
Dude,
I love the ones that are like really simple, like the one in Dubai where you just literally push a man off a skyscraper is so funny, because just the amount of strategy that you need to employ just to get yourself to the point where ultimately all you do is just push him off. It's awesome.
Have you guys done,
that's another one that comes to mind.
Have you guys done any of the pen based assassinations where there's like a tower or a little pen like on the desk, and the character will just lean over it and you just like you bang their head right into it? Have you guys done those before? All right, so the worst one, I was very shocked because you talk about the dark comedy in this game, and then there's like a shock factor at times because it's you do some brutal kills, but it's not gory. But this one was. So this is also on Mendoza, but you can do a similar thing in Dubai, where you dress up as a lawyer. When you first spawn in, there's that guy who's wearing like the dress shirt and stuff. And so you go in, you tell the guy like, hey, check out these files. And so he's leaning over the desk, and then the camera changes when you put his head on the pen. He's just like mouth open with his eye just bleeding, and there's just a pen sticking out of it. It's like, holy fuck, man. Like, that's horrible. So, but it's funny because it just contrasts directly. Because you think to yourself there, you're like, what a horrible way to go. But then you think of just tapping him off a skyscraper because he's like folding his arms like, push me, I dare you, almost. And it's just that
he's like asking for it.
Yeah, right. It's like, I gotta push you now.
I love that balance, and that balance between just kind of comedy and just like brutality reminds me a lot of Sam Raimi. And just like the way that he directed his shit, like the scene in Spider-Man 2 where it becomes a horror film in the hospital, like out of nowhere, and it's genuinely like mortifying, and then it just cuts to raindrops are falling on my head or whatever the hell.
Yeah,
it's I love that. I love anybody that can juggle a tone like that is very talented, and I appreciate Io very much for this beautiful conclusion to this just great trilogy.
Yeah,
I think that's a beautiful sentiment to conclude this podcast as well. Yeah. Overall, I mean, it's clear you've listened to us gush for the last just over an hour now about this game. So really, if you've listened to this and you've not played this game, you really fucked up because you just had a lot of stuff spoiled. But either way, I'm going to say I recommend to go pick up the game because it's fantastic. And of course, I feel good about especially supporting them in this scenario because they're self-publishing this game. And so they really went out on a limb here for this one. But clearly already, as Maddie said, they have been rewarded handsomely for this. But I would sincerely say, like, listen, if you've listened to this and you've had a lot of shit ruined for you, maybe there's still so much more that we haven't talked about. There's even the stuff that we've talked about. There's a million ways to do the things that we talked about. I would still say that even after listening to this, I think you still owe it to yourself to play Dartmoor at the very least. Like, if you want, just pick this game up, play Dartmoor. You won't be disappointed. Because there's stuff about that level that we haven't touched on at all. There's stuff about most of these levels that we haven't touched on at all. And it's definitely worth it. Yeah.
Agreed.
Totally agree. Check it out. But overall, thank you, everybody, Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Sacred Symbols Plus. As always, make sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments over on Patreon, or eventually, when this is free for everyone, on YouTube, because I'd love to know what you thought and write in what some of your favorite moments were. And yeah, I guess we don't need to plug anything because this is on Patreon. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Chris. This has been a fantastic conversation. I'm glad we could do this. And I like this. I like the DMC. I think that, there's some potential here. We can, hopefully we can do a spoiler cast like this again. Or you know what? Fuck it. We're just going to take over Sacred Symbols Plus. We don't need Colin anymore at this point. Main show is next after that. The conquest has begun.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, everybody. Until next time. See you guys later.
Peace out.
Peace. Take care, guys.
Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from Central Virginia and Burbank, California, USA. The show is conceived by, is written by, and is produced by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-host is Chris Raygun Maldonado. Sacred Symbols' executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Sacred Symbols, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level or higher on Patreon, and we're grateful for your kindness and generosity.